So Cinema Blend put out this very interesting long form article today about why are so many major franchise movies dying or underperforming in 2019. Now, the article itself is very interesting. It's long. I don't want to go through all of it, but what I want to touch upon are the different sections that Gina Carbone here actually puts out, what she talks about, and give my take on it, because I do feel that a lot of the movies, at least the three that are here, that are featured, we have Men in Black International, X-Men Dark Phoenix, and Hellboy, definitely failed in 2019. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed all three of them. Hellboy immensely, right? And so I feel like not every movie should have failed, but there are a lot of reasons why these movies might have failed. And it's not just these three. There are a vast number of them that have crashed out and burned this year, so much so that I think by the end of the year, I'm going to have to go back through and look at all these movies that crashed and burned, and maybe start really diving in as to why they crashed and burned. But first things first, franchise fatigue, with the picture here of the Lego Movie Part 2, the second brick. Now, this is one that I'm outright, right off the bat, going to disagree with. This particular movie. Franchise fatigue for Lego Movie Part 2 is not something that really happened, right? We didn't ask for this sort of thing, because I think that's a falsity to put on to this film. When you had the first movie coming out February 2014, it did very, very, very well. So much so that people did, in fact, clamor for a sequel. They got the Lego Batman movie 3 years later, and that did very, very, very well. Lego Ninjago came out later on that year, and that crashed and burned. But Lego Ninjago wasn't tied to the Lego Movie franchise. Lego Batman was, which is one of the reasons why it worked. Why exactly did Lego Movie Part 2 crash? Well, it just came out at the wrong time. A movie like this coming out in February for both, Lego Movie Part 1 and Lego Batman, this seems like it would be a good time to do it, but it just wasn't. If you want my honest opinion, this one would have been better served for a November release, right around the time of Thanksgiving or at least winter holiday. I think that would have worked out well. Plus, the marketing didn't really capture me, because I also think maybe the main character, or like the main villain, and the over pushing of Tiffany Haddish and the over pushing of all the voice actors that were in this movie failed to convey a good story. It just was trying to say, hey, listen, we put all of these people in this movie, come see it, please. And people out there don't really respond to Tiffany Haddish outside of a couple things. I look, I'm not putting it all on her. I think the Rex Dangervest thing, also being voiced by Chris Pratt, was kind of dumb. And the plot line of the film maybe wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't that people weren't asking for it. It's just that the movie itself didn't necessarily deliver. But there are a lot of movies out there that could come into the franchise fatigue. And obviously X-Men Dark Phoenix is one of them. Seeing that it's 3 years post apocalypse, it's 2 years post, Logan. It's 1 year past Deadpool 2, which that one failed to meet up to Deadpool 1. And I've argued that X-Men Dark Phoenix ultimately was kind of crashed and killed by Disney, because they just didn't want it to compete with Endgame. Had it done well, it would have been a better film. It would have been better well received, I think, and it would have put a thorn in the side of Disney, considering. But franchise fatigue is probably a big part of it. We have a lot of big tentpole films here, but it's not like these movies don't exist or can't exist, because they can. Franchise fatigue is not something I would argue really came into play a lot in 2019, even though we do see a lot of sequels, because we're not seeing them as often. I mean, the only movie this year that really felt like franchise fatigue to me, I'm not going to lie, is Captain Marvel. Because of all the superhero movies, it's absolutely the weakest, but it still made the second highest amount of money because it was tied into a larger franchise that was coming up on a massive conclusion. That's actually the same reason why Dark Phoenix failed, but I've already talked about that in my what the WTF happened to Dark Phoenix video. We've also got this one here, bad reviews and Baz Bud, aka is just bad. That again is applied to Hellboy. I think is unfair. And she's just using this as an image. It's not Gina in entirety, but I think that bad reviews are not necessarily as big of an issue as you think anymore, right? If you look at Rotten Tomatoes scores, especially when it comes to Godzilla. They criticize Godzilla. Why wasn't there more humans? Why do I have to watch all these monsters fight each other for 2 hours? I don't get it. What happened? The audience came out and the audience said, no. Godzilla is pretty good. Godzilla, as my words put it, pure sex. Right? A lot of people who saw, I believe, who saw even Hellboy came out and said, yeah, it wasn't the best thing ever, but it wasn't the worst thing ever either. Men in Black International has got good audience scores, but the critics kind of came out and gave it this middling review. Critical reviews don't matter as much anymore. Bad buzz does, but the bad buzz more often than not comes, I believe, from not the reviewer community. We're seeing this, the social media side of things now. And I think also when it comes to Hellboy, because it's the image on the screen, a lot of people simply wanted Hellboy 3 with Ron Perlman. So this movie could more or less be kind of pushed into the franchise fatigue, but you can't really call something that's a reboot really that from a movie that came out 11 years prior fatigue. So there's arguments to be made either way there. Now, here's one that I believe is really, 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 really important. The most important thing out there. Too much competition. And Godzilla King of the Monsters is a movie that I said should have come out towards the end of the year. It feels like a winter movie. It doesn't feel like a post-Memorial Day summer blockbuster film, even though it is probably the quintessential blockbuster movie that has come out this particular year. Endgame is the movie to end all movies, obviously, for 2019, but for blockbuster feeling, for that kind of effect, it's yeah, for me, it's Godzilla. But too much competition. I mean, just look at it like this. You had Endgame, Detective Pikachu, John Wick, Aladdin, Godzilla. Then you've got, what is it? Toy Story 4 opens up. Dark Phoenix just opened up. Men in Black opened up. All of these movies, and there's only a limited amount of money that goes into the entertainment field. There's only a limited amount of money that goes into these particular seasons. And I've seen other people out there try to argue against that. I saw one dude yesterday, like, don't just say that it's just that there's not enough money to go around. No. When you've got a movie that grosses $2.7 billion in the span of like just over 2 months, not like Avatar, which pulled it in over the span of roughly a year, because that's how long it was pushing the 3D stuff. And there wasn't a lot of competition coming into the first part of 2009. So that was kind of like the big spectacle that people went to go see because it was a damn experience. The same with Endgame was a damn emotional experience. Yes. People are going to justify their dollars. You've got Toy Story 4 coming out in a couple days, a movie that people are emotionally connected to because the last movie from 9 years ago made them all cry. So they're going to go see it with their kids. They're going to save their money and they're all going to go see it this next weekend. Why is that? Because they only have so much money. The economy is not doing as well as some people out there are trying to claim that it is. People will always justify spending their entertainment money, but you have to make it worth the while. And when there's so many movies that are coming out at once, you kind of start to hit that fatigue. The franchise fatigue, I don't believe truly exists in this world, but too many big movie releases all at one time, that fatigue absolutely sets in. It's the same problem with the Netflix effect. Sit down to Netflix, right? You boot it up, you sit down, I want to watch a movie or something, but I don't know what I want to watch. If you don't have a clear goal in mind going into Netflix, how much time do you spend just thumbing through the menus, hoping that something jumps out at you? Then you might see something. Let's say it's a movie you haven't seen, but you've heard good things about. Oh, that one I want to see. But what else is there? What's next? What else do they have on here? What else is going to be better than this one I want to see? Maybe I'll loop back to that one. But then you spend the next 20 minutes surfing around and you go, you know what? I'm just going to watch an episode of The Office or Friends because I've already wasted half my night trying to thumb through the available options. The same concept happens when you go to the theater. If you have too many options of too many movies you want to see, you start to doubt yourself and you end up not actually going. That's a big problem. So is this final one here. Wait until it comes out on digital, Netflix, HBO, Redbox, or other. That is a big factor. And Netflix, by the way, loves that factor. They absolutely adore that factor. They love it that you want to wait for them because they know that you'll go and you'll wait because you already pay for that subscription service. Why leave your home when you already paid for it? Disney's banking on the same thing. Never mind the fact that their movies rake in the most amount of money. Disney will probably one day own us all. I think we all can agree with that. However, it's true. It's absolutely true. Waiting for digital, for Netflix, for HBO, for Redbox, for other. Why? Because people are tired of going out. They want the experience of going to see these movies. But a lot of these big movies don't necessarily provide them with that particular experience. It's one of the reasons why, IMAX, 3D, 4D, D-Box, all these things are coming out. It's that experience. But oftentimes the films don't back it up. They just don't back it up. Some do. Right? Some do, but a lot of them don't. They're just movies you watch, and they're movies that are written to go to a wider audience. So they come across as, to Western audiences, as just being dumb. It's not to say that the audiences are dumb, and the audiences around the world aren't dumb either, but they're looking for the fastest way to translate to a larger audience to get into Asia where there's a lot more money. Because instead of being 320 million people that are here in America, you got over 1 billion potential in China. You can see why this is happening. And so when these movies start to come out as they do, and they're not, and I don't want to say intelligently written, but they're not written well enough. The stories are very, very simple. They're very easily transmittable, and they're all about high explosions and CG and stuff that you think this should be the garnish of the meal, not the full thing. And that's where the problem is. So people start to tune the hell out. Never mind the fact that television right now is it's still in its golden age. We just got done with Game of Thrones, or 19 million people were tuning into that just on HBO. Never mind the near 20 million people who pirated the damn thing. That's the experience. That's the water cooler experience. That's where it's at right now. So yes, people are going to wait for digital, Netflix, HBO, Redbox, other, because they can watch it and then they can immediately get in on the conversation without having to leave their home. And I just read an article yesterday that talked about this, that said that more people, like 80% of Americans who watch television or movies, are on their phone while watching the television and movies. And you know what? That is true. I do the same damn thing. But if you pop up a phone in the theater, man, I am, one of these days, Alice, that's I get mad. But when I'm at home, it doesn't matter. I'm at home. This is my home. I can do what I want here. The movie theater experience is what's ultimately dying. And that's unfortunate, because I love going to the movies. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 20, 25 years that they just kind of start minimizing it down. And they want to just make it more of this direct-to-consumer experience, which is just by going through these streaming services. Movies are still going to come out to theaters, obviously, but we're going to find more and more of these people, more and more of these critics, more and more of these people coming out and just outright attacking the movies. That's another problem here, too, is people want movies to fail. They want movies to underperform. They do. They absolutely do. Go and look through YouTube videos and tweets, and go and look up, everything. The people are just inherently negative. I know a guy, I'm good friends with him. He'll go out there and he'll like, oh, this movie is terrible, god awful. I hate it. It's so garbage. And then I call him out on it. I'm like, well, then don't watch it. Oh no, but I mean, I love these movies. I didn't hate the movie, but no, you spent the last hour and a half tearing it apart on social media. And the moment you're hit with this, okay, fine, well, just don't watch it then. Or this little bit of pushback, it's, oh, well, I really like it. I just want to crap on it because I want it to be better. That's what I'm talking about here. There's such a massive amount of negativity that surrounds these films, that surrounds these properties, that surrounds this discussion, because it's what's rewarded, right? That's one of the reasons, another reason why so many of these franchise movies are failing. Because people claim to not want franchise movies, but yet they will fork out a lot of money to go see a Marvel film. I think a lot of people forgot how to have fun. If I'm being honest with you, I really feel that way. I think a lot of people out there forgot how to have fun. They forgot to just sit back and enjoy something for an hour and a half and not really give it too much thought. But the problem with that is that when that particular not too much thought is then dumbed down enough to where it has to go to the Asian market, and that's how they feel they have to do it, which I don't agree with. And it's a slight on the Asian marketplace for saying that they don't have the intelligence to comprehend complex storytelling. I don't like any of that. Then as a result, people start to not care as much. And when the headlines constantly come out, this movie bombed, this movie failed, this movie tanked, or the critics don't like it, as if the critics hold any fucking power, you can start to see where the culture is going. And I've criticized movies in the past, though, I've criticized many movies in the past, but I do tend to go into most things wanting to enjoy it, hoping to enjoy it. I criticized the hell out of Captain Marvel before going to see it. I went in there going, please be good. It was tolerable. I criticized the hell out of Ghostbusters 2016 before going into seeing it. Sat there and went, please be good. Please let me be wrong. And I was right. It was terrible. So it happens. But still, you can criticize something, but don't go into it wanting just to crap on it. Because I do believe, and this is me being real here, I do ultimately believe that the more negative you are over these kind of things, it has the ability to permeate, has the ability to spread, it has the ability to influence others. Negativity should not be something we constantly go to when revolving around these particular films. Not every movie has to be Godfather, but not every movie is The Room. There's varying degrees. Unfortunately, we just live in this. There we go. That's the world we live in. And there's no gray area. That's unfortunate. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions on this. I am curious to know. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.